They are the most complicated yet simple animals in this universe. Hey, welcome back, and if you're new here, hi. It's the Self-Growth Diaries podcast, and today we're talking about the human effect. And this episode is actually not going to have chapters because they're just not working for me. So let's dive right in. So the human effect states, any behavior is power. This includes actions, emotions, or even your actual behaviors. Any sin is power, which is basically anything taboo, disorders, or including murder. And any life is power, which includes the way you live life, your relations, and etc. Now, honestly, why do you have to fit in, or why do you have to fit everything humans do in 3 sections, you might be asking? Behavior, sins, and life are the 3 main things about humans. Think about it. I don't actually know what power is. I don't know what the definition or the general idea of it is, but for now, my definition of power is the ability to produce an effect or influence an object, human, or state of mind. And this basically includes an influence on everything. And I would like to think of it as kind of Newton's universal law of gravity, stating an object's gravitational pull is proportional to that object's mass and others. And I like to think of power as that gravitational pull between objects, which is proportional to the objects. Like, for example, a journal and a pen, they have kind of like a gravitational force, and it's used when an outside factor interferes with power. Or a more relatable example for you is you and the person you're thinking about, and the power is like there, but it's not used until you, the other person, or another outside factor uses it. And I keep talking about an outside factor, which again can be anything. So in these 2 cases, a human or a robot is an outside factor, or a friend, or maybe even fate is an outside factor. And note that power is everywhere at any given time, and it's just not really used. So any behavior is power, right? And when I kind of established this theory, or I kind of searched it up, I thought, well, how is behavior power? And then I realized as I went back to the definition of power that your behavior and others actually influences our state of mind, our emotions, and even someone else's behavior, which is kind of the whole definition of power. Anytime you feel sad, unmotivated, or just tired in general is normal to feel. Not all the time, obviously, but like sporadically, and it affects your daily life and routine. If you're sad and unmotivated, you might skip out on the things you usually do, or you stay in bed, or you honestly just rot. And it's kind of vice versa. Anytime you're happy, motivated, or energized, you're more likely to do the things you want to do, or even just take a risk for fun. And your whole perspective on the world and your inner world kind of changes. And not a lot of people know this, but emotions hold so much power. And that's why when we're mad, we tend to overreact or verbally or sometimes even physically abuse other people, because those powerful emotions are so strong they can't be contained inside of us any longer. And if they are contained, it's almost inevitable that you're gonna pop at some point. And that's also why when we're happy, we tend to be more joyful and express our happiness to other people, which can sometimes attract another powerful emotion, which is either jealousy or envy. And emotions are power, and using them wisely and moderation is obviously key. And you might be asking, well, what does this have to do with the human effect? Humans feel emotions every single day in our waking lives, so we can somewhat correlate this to feeling some sort of power every single day. And our power emotions, which are basically, every emotion, because they all hold power in some way, can affect other humans. It can make us feel things we don't want to do. It can make us do things we don't want to do. And it's basically an ongoing cycle which can be tweaked and usually grows over time and can progress with time. And you might be wondering, well, how does this affect me? And you've ever realized when like a friend is sad, you're sad too? Or when a sad event happens, you get sad too? Or whenever you see someone else get something that they want, you kind of feel jealous, maybe a little envious. And this is when you kind of know the human effect is in place, and it can again potentially affect you and your actions. So any sin is power, and this is such like a weird one and such a complex but simple topic. And this part of the human effect means anything bad you do, others do, or even I guess the world inflicts has power. How? When someone gets murdered, do we feel happy? No, I don't think so. We feel a sense of dread, and that dread can get carried energetically for a long period of time. And if someone has an eating disorder or a mental health disorder, we think they're just different from us, and you kind of get that vibe near the people who have the disorder, because we're so taught to think that the people who have mental health disorders are different than us, right? And the people who have those things kind of feel that power, and that's what makes the disorders again seem unacceptable, and it kind of makes them feel that they're unaccepted, right? And if someone has an eating disorder, right, and most likely it's a form of self-harm, which can hold to negative emotions, which then kind of goes back to the any behavior is power, right? Like it all kind of connects in some way. And again, we can hold power against ourselves or toward other people, that it almost feels like we're being dragged down. Like it's just like this invisible force that kind of pulls you down, and once you get rid of it, you feel lighter. And why would this affect you? Why would this affect a lot of people, right? And I think a good example of this is when the Holocaust happened and when it ended, right? When it ended, most people now think of it as a bad event, a sin maybe, or just a traumatic time, right? Or a traumatic thing in history. And it held power over the Jews and the other groups due to the fear, their strictness, and the panic that was installed in them to hold power, right? And once those emotions turn into action, which can be sins or it could be good action, they hold power on not just humans but ourselves, because as general humans, right, we want to relate to other people, we want to sympathize or empathize with other people and their actions or what they do, which is kind of how the human effect generally works. Any life is power. What is life? I actually don't know. I don't know the general definition of it. When I hear it, I know what it is, but I've never actually searched up the definition for it. But my definition for life is a place where only yourself is living and other souls around you are kind of in a different world. And taking this definition into account, right, any place with only yourself living is power. Anything that is living and that is part of your living experience has power. So basically how you view the world, how you experience it, how you even live your life, right? It all contains power. For example, if you experience life as sad, hard, and useless, sometimes we do that. But if you consistently experience that, then it will be that for you and only you. And I said, you're the only person living with yourself, and other souls are just living in other worlds, right? They don't experience the world the same way you do, and no one else ever will. Vice versa, if you experience life as abundant, happy, or limitless, maybe I guess curiosity is kind of another word for it, then it will be that for you and only you. Because you're the only soul in this world who experiences life the way you do. If you see if everything has power and life in this world, why not like make it a good one, right? And how you even live your life holds even more power. If you live your life cautiously, oppressed, and the belief that you're kind of below everyone and you're everyone's doormat, then that power will cling onto you like a magnet. Good or bad power will always be clinged onto you. You just need to deal with it and change it if it's not what you like or if it's not what you want. And how is this important to know? Power, again, isn't everything. If you're abusing that power, if you're ignoring that power, if you're turning that power into something negative and leading that affects your whole life when you can just be happy and free, you're choosing to let the human effect affect you in a negative way. And again, choosing is an option and not every option is chosen. Okay, so overall, why does the human effect have an effect on me? Why is it overall important, I guess, to the way of life, to us, to society, to other people, right? And I guess if you think about it, the human effect is the base of everything. It's the base of your lifestyle, your mindset, your habits, and just overall who you are as a person. And if something that deeply is rooted in you and affects all areas of life and your life and everyone else's life, personally, I would want to take care of it. I would want it to grow. I would want it to be different and improve every single day. And note that I said day, not year, not month, but day, because every day kind of resets. It's a brand new day, right? And I like to think about it as, why does the sun set then rise? To reset. So with the day kind of resetting, the human effect is what makes us human. Power or the human effect basically has power, which makes us human, our habits, our lifestyle, and our mindset, and ourselves, which basically holds power, and it basically makes us human, right? And when I see like the word reset, I kind of think of rises then sets, right? Because it's to reset. And if you notice, when the sun rises, it kind of matches. And why do you think the sun sets? Like reset. I just kind of caught that, you know? Okay. Anyways, obviously, I've probably only talked about the bad sides of each law or section or whatever you want to call it. But there are also good sides, right? For example, if your behavior is power, you're a disciplined person, you like to get work done, and you eat healthy. Your sins are power, you acknowledge your old bad stuff, you kind of acknowledge the wrong things you did, and you forgive yourself, and you start to heal, and again, you will forever heal. There is no stopping point, because trauma and everything else that is bad will always come to you. It's kind of it's a double-edged sword, right? If good comes, bad will also come. And your life is power. You live a good life. You live spontaneously. You kind of view life as an opportunity, not as a chore or something that needs to get done, right? Or something that has to happen. And that mindset is what makes people more fulfilled and increasing with good power, so that they can use it for others, themselves. And power can be good and bad, right? But it's just your choice to actually change it, to actually know what you're going to do with it, and to actually put it into action, right?
So this is the end of the podcast episode, and I just realized this is like so short. I did not realize it was this short. I don't know if I spoke that fast, but it just felt so short. And after doing this, I just feel so refreshed and so clean after shooting this, and I just feel way better. But like, this is so short. I just can't get it through my mind that it's this short. So I will see you guys in the next podcast episode, and I wish everyone who watches this the best.